rate of unemployment has hit a 12-month high.
Confirmed the extent of Australia's economic downturn.
This is a recession that Australia had to have.
Even after more than 30 years, the breathtaking chutzpah of Paul Keating's explanation of Australia's first recession in a decade, the suggestion that it may have actually been the result of deliberate policy rather than misjudgment, lingers on in the national memory. It resonates for some today, in an era where politicians regularly say things that don't stand the test of much shorter periods of time.
Australia's economic recovery has to be secured by people who have a track record in economic management. Otherwise, you're going to see petrol prices go up, you're going to see electricity prices go up, you're going to see interest rates go up more than they would need to otherwise.
Today, the Reserve Bank pushed interest rates higher for the first time in over a decade. For many borrowers, it will be the first time they've experienced the shock to their finances that comes with that. And that's at a time when the change in official interest rates is just from 0.1% to 0.35%, compared to 17% in 1990. Less than 2 weeks from polling day, much of the focus is on the political alibis and the political fallout.
We have operational independence, and it's testimony to the political culture in Australia that independence is respected.
The strange thing about the political response to today's rate move was that our Prime Minister, who told us just 5 months ago that the country was safely in the hands of people whose economic management would avoid petrol prices, electricity prices and interest rates going up, was today arguing against a criticism that wasn't being made.
And the Labor Party's argument seems to be that it has been the government. Well, what is the spending that they disagree with that is putting pressure on interest rates?
Ahead of the announcement, the Prime Minister seemed to be setting up the argument that the interest rate increase was the price Australians were paying for being saved from the ravages of pandemic because of the record government spending it had undertaken.
Do they think we shouldn't have cut the petrol tax by half? Do they think we shouldn't have given pensioners $250? If they think those policies were wrong and have put pressure on interest rates, then they should say so.
But the Prime Minister's preemptive defence is a bit odd. When the Reserve Bank announced its decision at 2:30 this afternoon, it made clear the, quote, rise in inflation largely reflects global factors. That is, not really because of any government spending decisions. The PM's defence was also odd because the opposition's critique wasn't really about government spending either. It was about wages.
What we know is that interest rate rises will put more pressure on families. We know that that's the case. And we know that Scott Morrison has failed on increasing wages. We know that low wages is a key feature of their economic architecture. It's a design feature. It's not bad luck, it's bad policy to have low wage growth.
Labor's argument is about different problems in the government's economic management.
We have a plan for cheaper electricity. Here we also have a plan whereby pushing downward pressure on wages won't be a key feature of our economic architecture. We recognise that we need to do something about wages as well.
You can hear the cogs in the economic policy gearbox changing with today's interest rate rise. The mix of interest rates, budget spending and wages is starting to change. Right now, interest rates are trying to cool price pressures in the economy, even as the government is shoveling money into the economy in handouts and election promises.
So I think we are very clearly in a world where fiscal policy and monetary policy are, at least for now, pushing in opposite directions. So the $250 cheques to welfare recipients just went out the door. Come tax time, tax offsets of up to $1,500 per person will be hitting bank accounts. Now, that's about $13.4 billion of stimulus. That is big. And certainly, that is adding to demand pressures in the economy.
During the current election campaign, we're seeing both sides of politics, the Coalition and Labor, promising additional spending. In the Coalition's case, that spending appears to be larger, and unlike Labor, they haven't made any proposals yet as to how they might pay for that additional spending.
Whoever wins government will inherit a very different economy to the one we have experienced these past 3 years. The good news is that growth and employment are strong. The bad news is inflation and interest rates are rising and are going to keep rising, and wages are only just starting to pick up. And that brings us back to one of those issues we just aren't talking about in this election.
Boosting women's workforce participation is probably the single biggest lever that governments have. So making childcare more affordable really will free up more women to participate in the workforce. If we're serious about getting real wages growth for the longer term, we really need to be talking about productivity. And that is actually something that's been quite missing from this election campaign.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.